Correct.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies not exactly having the best day. Bitcoin down over 3.5%. Lots of the altcoins in the deep red. In fact, we got below $9,000 this morning. We got around 8,900. So if you guys did watch yesterday's video, I went in and discussed the Bitcoin worst case scenario where I talked about the potential of Bitcoin maybe breaking down for a multi-month downtrend. Now, if you haven't checked out yesterday's video, definitely have a look at that, but we're going to continue that today, discussing whether or not we actually are looking for a massive Bitcoin, dump or lower levels coming over the next few months, or if what we're seeing right now is just one giant bear trap and we're actually just going to continue to the upside. I do have several different things I want to go over. Also want to go into why we actually saw the Bitcoin price dump. There are a few reasons that this could have happened. I want to discuss something that we need to pay attention to, which is Bitcoin options trading. It could actually be the key to Bitcoin's next big move. In fact, the last time that it did what it's doing right now, it called the bottom 2 times accurately, but will this time be different? That's what we're going to talk about. We also have JP Morgan coming out slightly bullish for Bitcoin, and I want to also discuss the fact that we have a big competitor for the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Now, we know that these guys have already been amassing massive amounts of Bitcoin, at least 1/3 of all of the new supply. So what happens if they have a competitor? What is that going to do for demand? Well, that is what we're going to talk about today. If that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. Also, today is the Ledger Nano S giveaway. That'll be at the end of the video. Without further ado, let's dive directly into the charts. So here's the thing I wanted to point out. Now, we were looking at this triangle right here, these 2 green lines, but keep in mind, when Bitcoin first had this breakout back in April, late April of the beginning of this year, we actually were looking originally at this blue triangle, right? Because look, we had actually touched the bottom here once, twice, and look, even though Bitcoin did break down from this trend, so we did kind of lose that previous resistance flip support, we actually have had a bounce right here, which means that Bitcoin is still respecting the initial trend that we had been looking at, from like a month ago. So that actually still is somewhat short-term bullish for Bitcoin. However, what is not good is that we did fall below that $9,300 level. And the other thing as well is we fell below the 50 moving average. You can see right here, we were staying above that for quite some time. We had a nice bounce back here right before the April pump, but now we have fallen below it, right? We are still above the 200 daily. We're still above the 100 daily. Now, here's an interesting theory. Now, this green line right here represents the ultimate resistance from the 20K top, and this purple line is more of the local resistance, from when we had last year's all-time high, or not the all-time high, but last year's high. So one thing you could look for potentially is putting in almost another descending broadening wedge after that before having the big breakout. Now, in yesterday's video, I did talk about some of the lower levels that we could see. Scott Melker over here, Wolf of All Streets, he says that $9,270 is pretty much the level that he was looking at. We have fallen below that level, so that does potentially open the door for more sell-off, right? Now, like I did say, we have actually been supported by this previous trend, so until we actually fall and break below this, I can't officially get really bullish just yet. I have to really get confirmation on that break below it. But what I do want to mention is that we had massive inflows into exchanges just before this dump. So what was actually causing it? Well, we'll get to that in just a minute, but real quick, let me just mention the charts again, because like I said yesterday, if we do keep this in logarithmic view, we're actually sitting above the previous resistance right here. Now, one thing I want to point out is the VPVR right behind me right here. And you could see right here at around the $6,418 level, you could see how there was just massive Bitcoin accumulation right here. And we actually did touch down on this when we tried to have the retest after the Black Thursday dump. So I still do hold 6,400 as a potential bottom for this move if we do go all the way down there. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want that to happen, K-Dub. I just got into crypto. I just bought some money. I want to become a millionaire tomorrow. Well, think about it realistically. If we go lower, you have more opportunity to accumulate. And honestly, it's not even guaranteed that we will go lower. Logarithmically, we've actually bounced off of the top of this trend. So that is just something to keep in mind moving forward. But like I said, we did see lots of inflows into exchanges. You can see right here. Look at over here on Coinbase, Gemini. And so what was going on right here? Well, guys, to be honest with you, a lot of people are actually worried about what's been going on with the pandemic, with all of the viruses, right? Now, people have started going back out again, and they've been rioting, and places have been opening, and I've seen people not wearing masks and things like that, right? Now, having a look at this correlation, we noticed that last year, Bitcoin wasn't really correlated with gold and the S&P 500, whereas fast forward to today, we've actually noticed that it has been. Now, I do want to point out super quick before we get into that you do notice that Crypto Michael did point out it could just be a bear trap, right? Because we have had similar things happen in the charts right here. For example, down here, Bitcoin kind of put in that double bottom and it was a fake out. Right here, double bottom. So maybe Bitcoin is doing the same thing with a double bottom and we could be looking for another fake out again. We might retest one more time around the $8,800 level, right? Having a look right here though, S&P, this is NASDAQ, has pulled back after hitting all-time high. Same thing with the S&P. So getting back to what I was saying just before, we have seen cases start to rise again, especially in the US. Now, it's not by much. It's just a slight curve, but you can see that this is starting to look like it's curving back upwards. Now, we don't really know. We don't have enough data, but some people are expecting a second wave. You actually have Dr. William Schaefer over at the Vanderbilt University of Medicine. He's saying that people are not being careful enough. He says this is especially dangerous during mass gatherings, and this is what's helping to probably respread the second wave. He says he thinks the second wave has begun, and he says we're opening up across the country, but many people are not social distancing, and many are not wearing masks. So that is one potential possibility. You could see the trickle-down effect from traditional markets leading into Bitcoin. And yes, Bitcoin maybe potentially is not exactly the hedge that we had all hoped it had been, but we have seen it act very uncorrelated in times before, right? Now, obviously, if we have a look at, what Plan B says, he says that, hey, it's basically acting like it's supposed to. Yes, we do have slightly diminishing returns exponentially with Bitcoin, but every single time Bitcoin follows the halving, we do see the same results, right? Bitcoin tends to have a little bit of a sell-off, some sideways action, and then, 12 to 18 months after is when you really start to see that big Bitcoin price action. So not much different really compared to previous cycles, but I did want to point out that there are over 100K in Bitcoin options expiring in June. But one thing that's interesting is that if we actually look at Bitcoin's put call volume ratio, it has risen to a 3-month high at around 1.79. The ratio currently stands at its highest value since markets crashed on March 12th. Why does this matter? Well, just so you guys know, the put-call volume ratio is an indicator of relative trading volumes of put options, bearish bets to call options, bullish bets. To put it another way, trading volume basically has been significant higher in the put calls. So having a look right here, in Bitcoin's case, a reading above 1.7 could be considered a little bit too high. In the past, the ratio has breached that level only 2 times, okay? On both occasions, prices bottomed out on the same day or the following day. So maybe people are getting a little bit too bearish. That is a possibility, right? We had it rise to 1.89 on March 12th. Bitcoin fell 40%. The following day, prices bottomed at 3,800. We had a similar situation happen in mid-December when Bitcoin fell to 6,500. The levels rose to about 2, and that was also the bottom for Bitcoin. So, like I said, guys, things are still looking good long term. Short term, we could have some downside action. If you do think that Bitcoin is going to dump to all hell, well, you could always short the market. You can do that over at places like Bybit or Femex. If you guys haven't checked out my Bybit tutorial, I will drop that popping above. Obviously not recommended for beginner traders, but you could potentially make money all the way down by shorting Bitcoin if that's your thing. So check that out. Links below in the description, but guess what? Our good old buddies over at JP Morgan Chase, one of Wall Street's largest banks, I mind you, looks like they've actually made a recent analysis looking at Bitcoin's 2020 performance, and maybe not to say that they're super bullish, but they do give credit where it's due. They basically say that Bitcoin has demonstrated a lot of growth and maturation. So they cited Bloomberg. Bloomberg was reporting it, but basically they were comparing this Bitcoin to other assets, and they basically said in the report that despite all assets plunging hard, Bitcoin actually emerged relatively unscathed. So the strategist leading the analyst, Joshua Younger, and Nicholas, I can never say this guy's name, Panagurtsigolu, I probably said it wrong, concluded that surviving the March 2020 crisis has outlined Bitcoin's longevity as an asset class. However, there was a bit of a downside. They also looked into the correlation between assets during this challenging time, including last Thursday's price plunges of both equities and cryptocurrencies. And so they concluded that Bitcoin was correlated more with riskier assets than with gold. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, I mean, hey, if you hold gold, good for you. But gold is actually holding its levels pretty high, still sitting at around $1,700 for spot prices, which still isn't higher than the all-time high, and it did take about 8 years to get back to that point, but you can see that it is holding a lot stronger than Bitcoin's recent price action. So that is just something we do have to mention, but big news, guys. So last Friday, it looks like Wilshire Phoenix Funds, LLC, filed a registration statement with the US SEC for a proposed Bitcoin commodity trust. Now, this looks like it could be a competitor for Grayscale. Grayscale has already been accumulating a massive amount of Bitcoin. We've seen a lot of Bitcoin demand. If this competition turns out to be true, this could be pretty significant for actually Bitcoin moving forward. Basically, they say that their trust will have no assets other than Bitcoin, so it's going to be only Bitcoin, a digital asset based on cryptographic protocols used by the decentralized peer-to-peer Bitcoin computer network. That's directly from the proposition. The investment objective of the trust is for shares to reflect the value of Bitcoin held by the trust. The shares will provide investors with exposure to Bitcoin in a manner that is accessible and cost-efficient without the uncertain and often complex requirements related to acquiring or holding Bitcoin. And their managing partner said that the digital asset market has obviously experienced exponential growth, but the products currently in the space have not evolved with such growth. We think investors deserve more. Now, keep in mind, these guys did attempt to actually have a product come out February 26th, and that was shot down. So this is their second attempt. They do believe that the revision will be approved by the SEC. We will see if that does play out, but if it does, this is just going to be another opportunity for more people to be able to get into Bitcoin and actually hold the underlying asset, as this will be physically backed, not paper. This isn't futures. So just keep that in mind, guys. Also, just to end on some news, South Korea's central bank plans to conduct an in-depth review of modalities requiring for issuing a central bank digital currency. I think this might be something we could see moving forward, as a lot of these countries moving to a cashless society. We've already seen, I forget who it was yesterday, lots of countries making the amount for cash purchases, etc., a lot lower. So basically, they're just going to be looking into this in a series of steps aimed at laying the groundwork for a potential digital currency for South Korea. And just to end on some sort of positive news, I know it can get a little bit depressing when you think, oh no, the rally might be over, we might be going back down to the low 6,000s, possibly. Just want to point out that this year is probably going to be more driven sell pressure from exchanges rather than miners. You can check out this whole thread that Willy Woo had. I did mention this before, but just wanted to mention that eventually, Bitcoin miners are going to fully capitulate. They're not going to have any more Bitcoin to sell, and the ones that actually can maintain Bitcoin mining won't have that selling pressure. Not to mention the fact that the difficulty adjustment is, I think, going to go up 14%. I think it's going to happen soon. Not too sure. Don't have it pulled up right now. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. We do have to give away a Ledger Nano S. If you guys are interested, drop a comment below. We give one away every Monday. So, we do have to go to a random number generator. So we had 5, videos number 5. So that was yesterday's video. Okay, so if you watched yesterday's video and commented, you are eligible. So let's go to yesterday's video where I actually went into the possible bearish case scenario for Bitcoin. So definitely check out yesterday's video if you haven't. And drum roll, please, for the ledger. There is always a lag when money is printed before prices of good rises. They were printing massive amounts of money before the pandemic. They printed even more to deal with it. There is a huge bull run coming, and it is going to be bigger than we have anticipated it would be because of this. There is a good reason they are moving to make the dollar a digital currency. It will be easy for everyone to move right into crypto. If you are not bullish long term, you don't belong here. TP Productions. This has to be one of my favorite comments I've read in a while. Yeah, so you did win the ledger. If you're interested, if you're not interested, you just want to make a comment, that's all cool. Hit me up. And if not, then I will be doing another giveaway tomorrow. But if that's the case, TP Productions, you did win. Thank you for the awesome comment. Definitely provided some nice value down in the comment section. I do like when you guys get involved in the conversation. It makes it a lot more fun. That's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Having a look right here. Could be a little bit rough for Bitcoin, could be a bit of a bear trap. Let me know down below. Start the conversation. That's it for me today. Hope you have a great start to your week. Be safe out there, guys. You know, do what you got to do. Hopefully the second wave isn't happening, but we'll have to see. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. My name is K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.